recycling in here? Right next to the copy sheet.
You want to, I use it, put it on the other side.
Okay. There.
That's the last time, right?
Yeah. Well, I have 2 meetings. So.
Yeah.
Starter.
Yeah, I think we should. We got
Yeah.
people around.
Something about moving or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It does. You push the button and the green light turns on, and
The red light.
no, it's green on the bottom.
Oh,
And,
back.
yes, right. You're on.
You guys trade off doing these meetings? You just got lucky. Wonderful. There's boring and then there's boring.
Well, she told me I'd be sure.
Wow.
We'll try.
We'll try. So I'd like to call the meeting to order a little bit late. This is a special meeting of the board to finish making changes to the tentative budget, turning it into the preliminary budget, which we will then put before the voters with a public hearing at the next regular meeting. And I'd like Laura to sort of walk us through the changes that got made in anticipation of our desire.
Please, can you adjust the camera so we can have a face on the hands in the lower left corner?
Oh, I'm trying to stay away from everybody because I've got really bad colds
So they're not likely to catch it on Zoom.
over here. When I speak, I'll move my head in, right?
But now they can't see Laura.
Laura, you can
Can you
move.
move the thing forward and then you?
That better?
Yeah.
That's better if you lean forward, Paul. Thank you.
I don't want to block out Pat.
And I could move it a little more.
Fine.
The other way. There he is. Now Laura's off. Hammer again. Just move you. Just keep pushing some more. There you go.
You could probably sit down.
Okay, would you like to sit down?
Without having to stand up. Or you can sit it right.
No, at the table.
Oh, at the table.
Otherwise they won't see you.
You'll see my back. They'll see my back.
That's all right. And you can turn that microphone around. Nobody's on it. Wouldn't have to use this.
This is probably one pillow.
Yeah.
And a footstool, no. Okay, so from the last meeting, we had, as Joel said, the tentative budget. Now we're trying to turn this into the preliminary budget, which a preliminary budget is something that will appear at the public hearing and be, something to will be out there for the public to grab. The only this budget from the last meeting, the amount of the levy is exactly the same. So the bottom line, and still being $600 under the tax cap, it's all the same. Where you're going to see some differences and what we wanted to do was to sharpen up some of these line items, especially in the information technology section. So I prepared a sheet, changes from tentative budget. Okay, so we can see that the fire district increased their budget by $11,000. So in some of the, if we're looking at the tax rate analysis, tax levy analysis, that's where you're going to see that difference in the fire department amount. But that does not have anything to do with our tax cap. They have their own tax cap, and I can say that they stayed at about a 1.9% increase in the amount that they increased the budget for them. So there's the fire district. But if we look at the accounts that we kind of wanted to dissect, I went through and dissected all these numbers and all the things we've been charging to them. And I think we've got something really good here as far as pinpointing some things down. So if you look at the account A1620.4, the building's contractual, we had in there in the tentative budget $40,000. It is now at 31,100. And the reason it is, there's a change. The change is due to internet service, computer service, and postage being allocated to a different account numbers. So we could pull that out of there, okay? Information technology, the next one, another 1620.4 account. The information technology went from 6,000 to 35,000. But that's because we reallocated out of there. And this change is due to that TCNS contract being reallocated out of the building. TCNS is our computer company, Triple City Network Solutions. And so that is 35,000. I also wanted to mention too that I brainstormed with Janice. Janice and I got on the line and she was looking up some things, and the things that she knows were the some of the contractual things to some of these. Email maintenance. Email maintenance went from 6,600 down to 5,800, but that is the change. That change is due to the quote that we just got in from TCNS about Office 365. So Office 365, their quote is $5,800 for the year.
That is, you're calling it email maintenance. It's email actually, isn't it?
It's actually the actual, yes, it's the actual email. Yes.
Not maintenance of it, but the cost of it.
Right. Okay. We could just call it email if you wanted to. We wouldn't necessarily have to call it email maintenance. We could just call it email services. That's good. We can change that to email services. Hi, Catherine. Hi. Okay. It's okay. You got a complete packet. It's okay. The next thing is another 1620 account number, the 0.43 for the newsletter and other support. This is that new line item that we were talking about, how you wanted to see things coming out for the amount for that newsletter. That is, we put 16,000 in there for a newsletter and $9,000 for some other support services. You were talking about possibly hiring somebody to do the website, to work with the website, or some support in other areas. So I just called that newsletter and other support. And that total is $25,000.
What was the newsletter before? Was it a freestanding item?
No, it was lumped into central communication.
Okay.
Okay. And then you can see the central communication went from 30, which is the next one, the 1650.4, from 37,400 to 16,000. And that's because we went through, took a look at things, pulled some things out of there. We pulled out what it does include are the MyTel phones, the Verizon cell phones, and the internet service. That's what we have under central communication. And that's going to cover everything for the highway and this building. I say highway, the highway, those expenses wouldn't be charged to the highway fund. They come out of the general fund under that A5132.4. And you'll see that as we go down through here, I adjusted that one too a little bit for some of those amounts. And another thing that we kind of went down a little bit on, and I did call Greg on this, was there's a line item on there called a contingent grant match. And we had $7,000 that was budgeted in that for some of the grants that they were thinking about going for in the town that might require a match, or, in one way or another. And he had assured me that, yeah, if we go down that little bit in that, the 1,100, that will not be any, that will work. And we did have to go down in a couple of the line items, and we did search to try to find which lines would be the most practicable to do that with. That might have a little bit of room in there to be able to do that, because you're trying to stick with your goal of not hitting the fund balance, keep hitting the fund balance over and over, but you liked your goal, wanted to stick to your goal of being under that tax cap. It's still 600 under the tax cap, 602, I think. I can't remember the exact amount, but anyway, you know, of not not exceeding that. And I think we picked a good line item, that contingent grant match. And as Greg said, you know, if we did get involved with something and it went over that $5,900 mark that we had to come up with for a match, they have some in their contractual lines that I'm sure by the end of the year that they're not using, and we can take a little bit out of there if it came to that. But there wasn't anything on his radar at this moment to have to use that money for right at this moment, but it would be good to have it in there just in case, because of some of the grants that are on the radar that we can see possibly coming up. So in the garage contractual, we went down, we had it from 75,000 to 73,200. That change was due to the cell phone charges, internet charges, and drug testing being reallocated to other accounts. Okay. The street lighting. The street lighting, I was taking a look at that, and those amounts are coming down, and they have come down in the last couple of years because of the solar.
No, it's not solar, it's a switch from two LEDs.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, correct. It's LEDs, not solars. That's right. It's for the LED. And also there are some solar credits that come into that too from our solar array. We allocate to that as well. So, but it is mostly due to your LEDs. You're right. I kind of said the wrong thing. Let me change that just for the record that we have that. Danby Youth Commission, we added that $200 for that mailing that Marnie had requested and you guys had talked about. And the Danby Community Park, they had asked for that additional $850. And so that is added to the Danby Community Park line. So the fund balance wasn't affected here at all. Okay, the amount taken from the fund balance, and there is nothing affected as far as the tax levy. This is just moving some things between account numbers, sort of like cleaning it up and really kind of pinpointing things. Every year we kind of pick a subject that we know has been hard to follow. The year before we were looking at like the planner and the code lines and some of the things that were coming out with their extra support and things, and we were kind of getting them with different account numbers, but we've zeroed in on that too. And I believe that this information technology thing is going well now.
You're right.
So.
Talking to somebody in the house.
Okay. So that's what this is. Nothing has changed as far as the bottom line totals for any of this. On this budget, I've, you know, as I had put in an email, you know, I think we're in a good place with this. I like this budget, my opinion anyway, from working with it so closely. I think it's a good amount and something we can stick to.
So the central communication is basically turned into just phones and internet.
Central communication, there's an exhibit B. If you look, it's right at the very back of your packet, okay? In exhibit B, you're gonna see, yep, the phone system, $7,000. The cell phones, $3,500, and the internet services, $5,500. That's what central communication is turned to, because we pulled out that newsletter, which was a big thing in there. We pulled the newsletter out, and then anything to do with information technology, we've zeroed in on that too and pinpointed that in the proper account number.
Where is it? What did it move to?
Information technology.
There's a line called IT, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then a separate one that indicates the newsletter and some other additional support.
So we're calling it central communication. We should call it communication, phone and internet.
You could do that if you want some of these relabeled, you know, these.
I think he's asking what it was called.
No,
It was called central.
It was called central communication, and Joel wants to just kind of look at the,
All it's in there is phone and.
look at the label. He's suggesting we change the label of that account.
You could just put phone and internet.
You could call it phone and internet.
Could call it phone and internet. Communicate.
I'm sorry, it's look that.
What did you do?
I love it. That's called exactly what it is.
Call it what it is.
Yeah.
I like it too. I think that would be
Sounds good to me.
that would be a really good thing. I'm happy with that. Phone and communication, no, not communicate, just phone and internet.
Yeah.
Phones and internet.
I mean,
I like it too.
you did a lovely job as part of this stuff. And, you know, being new, like also, you know, you look at the table of contents or whatever it is. This is the one, I'm here, change it or whatever. Each of the sections would be great if you just listed, you know, on the front page, like what's in that. What are all the different pieces of it? That would be wonderful. That, you know, and even, you know, if you have time to do it over the next month or so, just give it back to us and say, this includes this, and this.
We do have that in some of it within the budget here. Okay, so if you were to look at, say, code enforcement contractual, you will see in there, that includes software support, supplies, training, association dues, postage. I need to sharpen these up because that doesn't include postage anymore. We have a separate line item for that. So I do need to go in and sharpen those up. But I do see what you mean, and I can remember this years ago when Dan Klein requested that. And we did like a whole separate budget where we kind of listed all these things out. And then I tried to incorporate them in this. So we kind of put them together. So that's a great point, and I think we should revisit it. And I will go back through and look at these lines and try to put in my parentheses. You see my parentheses in here?
Be accommodating. Thank you.
And see what I can do, because whatever is gonna make this a good process for everyone, that's where I really would like to see from my seat.
So you're talking about essentially taking the contractual line and putting in parentheses after indicating what's in that contractual line?
Yeah, some of them are that way now. Some of them are already there.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm doing it more.
Yeah, doing it more, seeing where we can do it and
Because,
be
you know,
as
for the public,
explaining as
not just
possible.
for the public.
Yeah.
For the people who participate, you know, it's hard, contractual is just such a catch-all.
Yeah,
You know, this was particularly of interest in the water district, because the contractual, I had no idea what it was about. But we're getting there.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
Elaborating so that people have some idea.
this can be a work in progress every year. We can look for other ways to put some more things into it that are gonna make it easier for people. Whatever we can explain. Well, work on that.
By the way, this is a public document,
Yeah.
so it's not just for us.
Right, right, for the public as well.
This one will be put out there, like
Yes,
We agree.
So I learned something today about what contractual means. If you throw a couple of definitions in there, things would be very helpful to.
It's contractual,
Not everybody.
contractual,
Of course.
which is not personnel.
right,
What,
it's not personnel,
what, I know it's not person.
so.
It's everything else.
Right.
Yeah, but they're good examples, but now it's like, say, postage is not in there. It's a separate line.
now it's in a separate line,
So.
so now we have it. So that's a change. We can go through and
Yeah.
kind of sharpen those up as well,
Yeah.
and putting that in.
I think you do tremendous, great work. And I think you would be lost without it.
Oh, that's sweet, but thank you, my pleasure. I'm sure there's
Happens to be true, but
others, but thank you. That's nice. But thank you.
I have one, and I don't.
are you my going? Or you maybe just kind of start from it, because I'm not here.
It only, it only concerns me with our total in that,
Where are you?
no, I've got to go back and look. The garage contractual,
Oh,
Yes,
where you said it went from 75 down. I've got your 85.
you had in there 85, you're looking at an old sheet, I think. You're looking at an old one. We started out with
Okay.
85.
Okay, so that's,
And
okay,
it got changed before it came down to 75. We were looking at the history of it. We were looking at some of the things that we saw in there. So it was from there, and then we decided, you know, we can come down a little bit more, and it's a
Okay,
good
I
thing,
thought it
and
corrected
watching
all
the
the things.
expenses is a good thing in that account.
and look at that.
We'll track it and see what it does this year, but
Water, trash pickup, Drug testing. I mean, there's.
And drug
a lot of
testing
stuff
can come out of there because
yeah.
we do have a separate line item for it, so. We'll sharpen it up more.
Yeah,
It makes it a little bit easier to understand for someone
Sure.
who doesn't
yeah.
get the state format that we have to put everything in.
State format, that's the thing.
That's-
That's why I heard
Some of these, labels, you might call them, or what they're calling the accounts, are right in the New York State manual. Same thing as in school districts, they do the same thing. That's why they use that word contractual, and that confuses everybody. I always equate it to the differences in accounting. If you have your own personal checkbook and you're gonna get a credit to your account, that means you're adding to your account. In accounting, if you credit an asset account like that, that means you're taking it away. And so the jargon, the words that are being used are, just to get used to them.
So, questions from anybody? We didn't do privilege of the floor, but I'd be happy to, and if Ted or Gary has questions, I'd be happy to have them expressed.
I just have one quick question. Are we gonna go through each line item, or, I mean, can you plug for one or another, or, I mean, or is this the budget, or is this gonna be it?
Well, I hope it's gonna be it.
Okay,
It's the same as what was posted on the website. When we first put the budget forward, except for the changes that we just talked about.
okay. All right, well, I was hoping that just putting a plug in for the seniors, that they were gonna get their $7,500 this year instead of 5,000.
Yep,
Only
that got-
because, pardon me?
That got done.
Okay, because I just figured it up. There's 175 of us seniors, and any of you guys can join too. And that only figures out to roughly around $40 per senior.
By that.
That figures out roughly about $40 per senior. And like I say, it's affecting 175 basically taxpayers. So I think that's a great thing. They haven't had an increase. I went back to 2016, and that $5,000 was the same back then. I don't know how far past there, so they haven't had an increase. And I know this money goes mainly towards the trips. The seniors pay for their trips. The only thing this funds is the transportation. So I just wanted to put a plug in for them. And we do have our own webpage now, or our Facebook page now for the Danby seniors. So that's the only plug I wanted to put in.
Okay. Ted?
He doesn't have his on. He doesn't have his on.
Okay, I thought he had his hand up. No.
No,
I didn't
he was
see
just
that.
like doing thumbs up.
All right. I see Jim here too. I didn't see him because behind our
yeah.
statement.
What do you want?
He's observing. So, what do you think? Are we good to go?
I always think we're forgetting something, but I really like,
Okay, always.
I really like.
And I'm sure we are. I mean, there's so many things. There's so many things. We try to capture all that we can,
Yeah.
and do all that we can here. But I think that we've done it.
Yeah.
So, with that in mind,
You
I
guys.
move that we make this a preliminary budget.
I second that.
Okay, here you go, Cindy, you get to call the roll.
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Gannon,
Yes.
Awesome, you guys did a great job. You really did.
Wow.
You did a great job.
You did a great
Thank
job.
you, Laura.
Walking me through.
You guys did a great job. Joel's in on every single bit of this. You guys questioned everything and it was great.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Well, gee, that was the only thing on the agenda, so I think we did good.
Oh, no.
All that set up.
Yeah, and I got all those telephone calls and lost dog on my way right before.
You lost the dog?
Well, she wouldn't come right at the end, but she did,
Oh.
she came.
Oh, God.
But
So, meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming.
Right.
Like,
Right.